Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our August the 11th, 2026 Madison County Fiscal Court meeting. This is a regular scheduled meeting here at our Madison County Courthouse Annex, here in our fiscal courtroom at 135 West Irvin Street, here on the first floor. At this time, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Clerk Barger, if you will, please call the roll.
Master Combs.
Here.
Master Lockmuller.
Here.
Master Hughes. Master Bakken.
Present.
Judge Taylor.
Here. This time, I'd like to invite my friend Joe Wood from Vineyard Church to come up and lead us in a word of prayer. It's great to see you, Joe.
Good to see you again.
Brings back memories to Prince of Peace.
Do what?
So it brings, when I say it brings back memories to Prince of Peace.
Off to Guatemala,
Yeah.
huh? Yeah, I want to invite those of you that pray or are praying people to pray with me, if you would. Father, as we come before you right now, we bow our heads and we invite you to be amongst us in what might feel insurmountable, but what we believe is accomplishable. We just come before you right now and we pray, O Lord God, that you remind elected officials of the moral obligation to represent their constituency. And at the same time, God, we invite you to remind the constituency of the moral obligation to support their leaders. As we gather together, Father, we ask and pray that you would very specifically and significantly help us to do what is best for Madison County as a whole and not any individual or any individual interest. We ask and pray that as we go out from here, that we continue to remember that we're planting trees today for shade tomorrow, not necessarily just for what we want today. So we just ask and pray as we lift this up that there's an opportunity for you to receive glory and honor and for you to enhance the quality of life in Madison County here as we continue to seek to do what is best. And we thank you for this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thanks, Joe. Sheriff, if you will, lead us in pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated.
Thanks, Sheriff. Members of the court, y'all have had a chance to look over our previous meeting minutes. That was our July 28th regular scheduled fiscal court meeting. I need a motion and a second to approve, please.
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, hearing none, call the roll, please.
Master Bakken.
Yes.
Master Combs.
Yes.
Master Lockmuller.
Yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes. Our treasurer's report will be at our fourth Tuesday. It's always at our fourth Tuesday of each month. Mary Margaret's here today to give us our sheriff's quarterly financial report. Good morning, Mary Margaret. How are you? Good.
Okay, this is through June the 30th. We have taken in a total receipts of $979,125.80. We have spent $3,569,566.76. So as of right now, we're $2,590,440.96 in the red, but our fees come in when we start collecting taxes,
Yeah.
which will be the last quarter of the year.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Mary Margaret. Members of the court, do y'all have any questions?
It's always a little scary when you look at that number in the red, but
It is.
it works out.
Yep, it does.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
We've said many times, Mary Margaret, it'd be nice if y'all were on a fiscal year with us. It would make it a little easier,
That make too much sense.
yeah. Yeah. Thank you. All right, first order of business today is second read of ordinance 2026-004. This is a land use change, 2494 Lexington Road from UC 7 Agriculture to UC 5 Industrial. Bert, good
Morning,
morning.
everybody. Second reading of ordinance in Madison County Fiscal Court, Kentucky, approving the zone change of 2494 Lexington Road, Richmond, Kentucky, and authorizing the amendment of the official zoning map of Madison County, Kentucky. Whereas the hereinafter described land is located in Madison County, Kentucky, and whereas the Madison County Planning Commission held a public hearing on Tuesday, July 21st, 2026, to consider a land use change request application from UC 7 Agriculture to UC 5 Industrial. Upon presentation by the applicant and public comment and testimony, findings of fact were made by the Planning Commission as described in their summary of evidence, findings of fact, and recommendation of the fiscal court attached hereto, and made a part hereof for all purposes as follows. And the ordinance contains those findings of fact. It also contains a legal description of the property. Now therefore be it ordained and enacted by the Fiscal Court of the County of Madison, Commonwealth of Kentucky, that the land use classification of the following described property be changed by this ordinance from UC7 to UC5 classification. That the Madison County GIS Coordinator make the appropriate changes to the official zoning map of Madison County, Kentucky, and that the county clerk cause this ordinance to be published in accordance with the Kentucky Revised Statutes. This ordinance shall become effective on the date of the second reading and adoption.
Thank you, Burt. Members of the court, you've heard second reading of ordinance 2026-004. Can I have a motion and a second to approve?
Make motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Not right now, ma'am. It's fiscal court. It's a fiscal court discussion right now. Give me just a minute, Mary Lois. Okay, please? It's fiscal court discussion. Fiscal court discussion.
Well, Judge, I'd like to say a few words. There's been a lot of discussion about the cost and the financial risk. And I just think it's worthwhile that everybody have a complete picture, not just a snapshot in time. And that's why this may take a minute or two, but I want the facts on the record, not just speculation and misinformation. First, the Commonwealth of Kentucky has committed $20 million to this project. Those funds are dedicated to the economic development projects in this county and simply cannot be moved to another project. If we decide not to take the $20 million, they'll claw it back. Madison County is not purchasing the property with taxpayer dollars. The tax dollars from Paducah to Pikeville, from Covington to Whitley City are also paying for it. Why would we not want to have the money come here rather than send it to another county? That investment has to be deducted from the very front if anybody's going to put a half mind into putting together a financial justification about this project. We've had some presented previously. The project is a regional partnership, meaning both the opportunity and investment are shared amongst the partners. This strategy has been promoted and proven across the Commonwealth and across the country. It isn't about just giving up control, but spreading out the investment and leveraging the state and federal sources. Most importantly, what's never been talked about in previous conversations by previous people is that you can't make a justification for this by just solely presenting the expenses. There's revenue that comes along with this. If you've ever run a business, you don't run a business just by spending money. People, and this has no reflection upon the audience, and don't take it as such. I don't want that to be the case. But if you have any sense at all and been in the business world, you got to have revenues to cover your expenses. And some of the stuff I've seen and said up here is just unbelievable. So speaking on that, recent financial calculations that were presented publicly left out critical pieces. Maybe somebody was trying to make a political record that needs to be on record so our citizens, not just the ones in this room, but the citizens of this whole county have the facts. That analysis did not account for the $20 million investment, which is free, and the land is going to be free, and the land is going to be clear, and it's going to position the development. Did somebody say something? Oh, I thought I heard somebody. It's going to come into the partnership without any debt whatsoever. Revenue generated through the KPDI was also not included in this so-called one-page paper that was presented. Investments made directly by utility providers, water providers, sewer providers, gas providers, communications company, and all that kind of information, which will be done when you have a regional economic development plan being put together in coordination with the Commonwealth of Kentucky, was not included in that. Revenue generated by the sales of lots was not included in that so-called presentation. Net profit revenue from the businesses, insurance premiums from the businesses, and even property taxes will all come into play with what we're talking about here today. That was not included in any analysis that's been presented previously. You must look at both revenue and expenses. No analysis can only look at expenses. Man, oh man, I really don't understand why that was presented. The fact that our economic development team has already demonstrated the ability to leverage outside funding by securing 100% of the due diligence cost should speak for itself. This is long-time planning that's gone into this, folks. This is not just a whim. We should be looking at this and not on a per acre basis, but on a per employee basis. We're talking about economic development to bring jobs to this community. We should take that approach because employees produce revenue. They don't produce acreage. There was only one entity, one soul up north that ever produced any daggone acreage, and it sure wasn't any human on earth. When any investment is analyzed and cost benefit is done, it's important to include both the cost and the assets being brought to the table. This project begins with an extraordinary advantage. We are starting with this property being acquired without local purchase cost. I don't have a clue because I'm a transplant, most of you know that. I'm going out of office at the end of the year. But I don't know whether Richmond or Berea with their industrial parks, which are brought up all the time, whether they got those parks free or whether they had to invest in them. Madison County is getting the land free through grant money from the state. We properly acquired it. We've got state investment, we've got state commitment, we've got regional partnerships involved, we've got financial responsibilities across 4 government entities. It's a much different picture than what you've seen before that's happened here in Madison County. This is exactly the type of partnership that the Economic Development Cabinet and the Governor's Office has been pushing. Believe it or not, most people do not know where the county lines and the city lines are. I'm not saying that to be disrespectful, but this is a county project. It would bring in county revenue for county services. Doesn't have anything to do with the 2 cities involved inside of our county. They're different government entities, and they do their own thing, and rightfully so. So we keep hearing Duncannon Lane, we keep hearing all this other stuff about these other industrial parks. They're not the counties. They're never going to be the counties. We don't benefit from them. Hopefully the city of Richmond will benefit from them. Hopefully the city of Berea will benefit from them. We as a government are mandated by the Commonwealth of Kentucky to provide services to its constituents. We have to have revenue. And if we're not going to go out and create jobs for future generations because some of the people don't want jobs because they're 80 years old or 60 years old or 70 years old, shame on you. Future generations need our leadership and they need it today. And we need that because the only other alternative to that is to raise property taxes. And oh my goodness, please don't bring the guns out because nobody wants that, not even me. The success of this property is also because of location. Infrastructure that I've talked about previously is not needed tomorrow. It's needed in the next 5 to 10 years. This is a 20-plus year project. Heck, one time, I think one of the Carr families, Jim Carr, he just finished an Indigo run. That's been a 29-year project. This is not going to happen tomorrow morning. Well, I'm going to let it go there, but I wanted to make sure there were some facts and some actual documentation information that we can prove, not speculation, and not something drawn up by one person who tried to put a bad eye and a bad light on the fact that this was a bad development. This is part of the future of Madison County, and I just wanted to make sure those facts were on the table. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Tom, Brian?
Go ahead, Tom. Go ahead. All right. For me, this project has always been about the future of Madison County. Myself personally, I've worked for 32 years in the Berea Industrial Park. I'm a Berea boy, got to go to work in Berea, stay in my community, and be home with my kids and provide for my family. And that was all due to what people did in Berea at that time to plan for the future. There's been countless number of people that have had jobs in the Berea industrial area. Those jobs are not always going to be here. Technology is going to change. So we always have to have projects ready to go. We always have to be prepared for the future. I just want to point out a few things. One of the things that's great about this project is the occupational tax. Wherever you go in the country, you watch the news, property tax is being viewed, people want to do away with property tax. And I agree, that would be great to do away with property tax and to change that up. But in order to do that, you have to have supplemental income. You have to have another stream of revenue to pay for services because they're not free. So, having the occupational tax, having the jobs in Madison County will help us keep property tax low. You look around, our property tax for Madison County, I'm not talking about your whole bill. When you look at your bill, that's one thing. There's multiple entities on your property tax bill, but Madison County's portion is very small. And so, in order to keep it that way and to keep the services that all of us depend on and want, we have to think outside the box. We have to do things that give us leverage and opportunity to bring in more revenue. I've worked with hundreds of people over my career. A lot of them are farmers. They come to work at a factory job because they need to pay the bills. They need insurance. Jobs, farming, all this goes hand in hand. You have to have some of everything in order to make it work. Madison County does not have an industrial park. We do not generate any kind of occupational tax in the county that amounts to anything. We need this to be able to continue to provide services for this county. We need this to provide jobs for our kids. Our kids go to this community, go to school here, they get an education here. The school system has invested heavily in Ignite academies to give kids pathways that are different than college. College is not for everybody. There's money to be made, there's careers to be made in the trades. And the school system has invested in this community with Ignite academies to give those kids pathways so they can stay in this community. Our job is to give them jobs, to make sure that opportunity is here for them. This project was estimated at 3,000 jobs, not 1,000 like it's been presented. The occupational tax is close to $2 million. That may not sound like a whole lot, but to county government, that's a lot. When you run on the margins that we do it in county government, $2 million is a big influx to be able to provide services. We run very close margins. Prime example, property tax. We take in about $5 million in property tax. This building next door, about $4.5 million to run it. Doesn't give you much margin there to do a whole lot with. So you have to have other revenues, occupational tax, insurance premium tax. I would love to see a crowd like this come to Frankfort with us and talk about jail reform. We've asked, we've pleaded with our legislators. Nothing's changing. It's still a burden that we bear, and it's only through the revenue streams that we have to pay for it. So this is going to help big time. The regional concept of the project, it spreads out the risk. Madison County could not do this project on its own. Without partners like Berea, Scott County, and Fayette County, there's no way we could do this project. Without the support of the state legislature, we couldn't do this project. It's just not possible. This is a generational impact project. Like Steve said, this is not going to happen in the next few years. We'll not see, nobody in this room will see this project completed probably in their lifetime. When I look around, I see a lot of people in this room. We've all lived more than we've got left to live. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but we have a future and a generation to think about. Like Steve says, we got a plan for the future. We got to give them an opportunity and allow them to have an opportunity that we've had. None of us got here today without a lot of help. A lot of people have laid the groundwork for us to be successful in our life. Just like in the Berea Industrial Park. Like I said, I've been able to work there for 32 years to be able to provide for my family. This is what we need continue to need for Madison County. Fayette County, and this is about the location is, Fayette County is the second largest population-wise in the state of Kentucky. Madison is 8, Scott is 16. Each of those communities have colleges, they have Ignite academies, they have vocational schools. We have a workforce that is ready to work here. 500,000 people within those 3 counties. 41% of our workforce leaves Madison County every day. There's no reason for that. We need jobs in Madison County. We need those occupational taxes. We need those services here in this county. Like I said, this project, you won't see it complete in our lifetime. This is just generational. If we're not doing things for our kids, then we have no business being up here.
Thanks, Brian. Tom?
Well, my comments today are a little bit different, along the same line, but a little bit different, because of all the things that the fiscal court does, of all the things that I do as a magistrate, I can tell you that zone changes are the worst. They're the things that I hate the most because of what we have right here. We've got some people that think they're winners. We've got some people that think they're going to be losers when we walk out of here. That's not the case. That's not the case at all. When we look at the documents that are presented to us and we look at the properties, for me, a decision comes down to a couple of things. First thing right here. What does the law say I have to do? Is the decision I'm making, is it legal? I've asked myself over the years, and you all don't know this, but I'm going to share it with you today just simply because I can. In 2018, I was really sick. And the problem that I had at that time was stress-related. It was stress-related from this job by some things that was going on. I was a year getting over that. And from that point forward, I told myself, I've got to make some decisions. I've got a responsibility to represent people. That's the reason I'm here. I've also got a responsibility to do what's right. So for me, from that point on, when I sit down and I make a vote, I got to be able to sleep at night. There's a lot of nights when I didn't sleep. But from those, 3 things. And we've got new courts coming in. You do whatever you want to do. But for me, it's 3 things. Is what I'm voting for legal? Is it moral? Is it ethical? If the answer to any one of those is no, you better stop and think about what you're doing. If the answer to those is yes, law says that what you've got to follow, then you probably better vote yes. I think a lot of you know, I retired after 20 years in the Army. I went and spent my time in 17 different countries, every state in the United States. I saw a lot of places. I went a lot of places, and actually when I retired, I spent the majority of that time in the South. When I retired, I decided I was going to stay in the South. So I retired and I stayed the first year in Georgia. And then just out of the blue, I had 2 young boys. My wife and I got the opportunity to come back to Kentucky, and we looked around. We saw a lot of places. We could have went anywhere. We literally could have went anywhere and retired. But I told her, it's like, well, I know a good place where we can raise 2 young boys at. So we came back to Brea. We came back to where I grew up at, and I raised my sons here. Well, one of the things that happened from that was when my oldest son graduated from high school, got a full ride at EKU. I'm in debt to EKU forever. It literally cost me $500 for him to go to school up there for 4 years. But when he graduated, there wasn't a job waiting for him here. He had to go to North Carolina. He's been gone for about 14 years now in North Carolina. He now lives in South Carolina. But I would have given anything for him to have had the opportunity to stay here, to keep my 2 grandchildren here. So what do? Well, I do like all good grandparents. I load up every other month and I haul down to South Carolina. That's my choice, and I'm going to continue doing that. I'm going to do a little more, as a matter of fact, after December, after I retire from here. This choice on this one applies to all of the decisions that I'm making today on every one of the zoning opportunities that's going to come up. The same factors, the reason I've told you all this, same factors that apply to this one are in my decision for all of them. I don't necessarily like everything that I'm looking at, but at the same point in time, I've got a legal responsibility to do what's wrong. You know, have I voted yes to every zoning change that's ever been brought up here? Anybody know the answer to that? I can tell you the answer to that. The answer to that's no. Been sued twice. Court upheld one of them. The other one came back around a year and a half later, and my no vote, because some changes had been made to it, I voted yes for. Weighed the circumstances at the time. The industrial park, business park, you know, I was fortunate that when I came back here, I traveled for 5 years all over the United States and Canada, installing barcode and inventory systems. But I got tired of living on an airplane, and so I got the opportunity to go to work at the Oconite Company. I doubt anybody in here knows, but the Oconite Company was built out there in 1968. I know you don't remember it, Judge. You're too young. But I remember a big, huge white mansion that used to sit where the Oconite Company is physically sitting right now. I'm confident without a shadow of a doubt that there wasn't a planning and zoning then. Bert, was you around then? No, it wasn't here then, but I bet you that there was a whole bunch of people that lived around there that was not happy about the Oconite Company coming in there. But yet it survived since 1968. It's by far, if not the best, one of the top 2 places in Madison County to work today. I was very fortunate to get to retire from there. So, you know, I hope off of everything that's done here, I'm just going to tell you this. I'm not going to be here to see the end results of that. I'll be long gone. And like was said earlier, most people in this room is not going to be here to see that. History at some point in time is going to judge whether or not we're right or whether or not we're wrong about everything that's done here today. That's all I got to say, Judge. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Appreciate it. I hope y'all had the opportunity to review the planning and zoning meeting. The planning and zoning meeting was the public hearing. And then we obviously took some comments at the end of our last meeting last week. Mary Lois, I'm not asking you to get up here and speak, but I'm going to address you now to let you ask me what you wanted to ask me.
No speeches today, Judge.
I have some documents that are pertinent to the vote, and I would like to pass those documents out. You can look at them quickly. The important things are highlighted, but there are some things that have come up that are very pertinent to the vote.
So this is a second reading.
Yes.
So, and it has to be voted on today. So did you just get those things 5 minutes ago? Because you could have given those to us yesterday in preparation to this vote today. Again, there is a legal obligation with an applicant and how this process works. And so today is the day of the vote.
Yes, and I chose not to do that because it needs explanation. I have the documents, and if you choose not to look at them, that's fine.
Yeah, I need some legal guidance on this. I
And
mean,
it's all based on various Kentucky laws.
Judge, I believe based on the proposed ordinance that's on the agenda today, that the proposal is for the fiscal court to incorporate the findings of fact of the Planning and Zoning Commission rather than holding an independent hearing
Hearing,
today.
yeah.
So taking of proof and testimony today, I don't think is what's on the agenda before the court.
okay.
It's not testimony,
Okay.
it's documents.
I mean,
I think any kind of evidence that's being submitted would be a hearing situation,
Right.
which is not what's on the agenda
which would have needed to been presented
at
at the
the
public
planning and
hearing,
zoning.
Planning and
yes.
zoning meeting.
Correct.
Could this documentation be presented at the next zoning commission? If this moves forward, then there will be site development, those kind of things will come, that can happen at that point.
I don't want to speak to the intricacies of the Planning and Zoning Commission and how they conduct their meetings, but certainly there are processes there for the actual site development that occur before that governing body versus in this setting.
So with
I'm afraid if the
it-
court proceeds, the information that I have will be something we'll have to deal with in the near future.
yeah, that doesn't matter to us at this moment, right?
I think that the court has to vote on what's on the agenda today,
Right.
which is as
Yeah.
written, the ordinance is
Yeah.
written.
So if anything comes after the fact, it comes after the fact. Okay. All right, is there any other discussion?
So you choose not,
Yes, that's the guidance that I've gotten.
okay?
Thank you, Mary Lois.
So
Mary Lois, please,
choose not
please.
look at these documents that are pertinent to the outcome.
I'll be glad to look at them after this fiscal court meeting. Okay.
It all depends on.
Mary Lois,
Vote.
you are interrupting my meeting, and I'm the chairman of this meeting. Please do not put me in this spot. Please.
You're in the worst spot.
Well-
if you do not look at this.
Thank you, Mary Lois. Appreciate it. Please sit down. Please sit down. All right, is there any other discussion? Sheriff, hey, Sheriff, I need you to just, please.
You kidding? Do you want me to just show you Reagan?
Mary Lois, this is not the time and the place. If you want to show me that, I'll be glad to. You have my number. You could have called me yesterday and said, I need to meet with you. You do not wait until there's a room like this and put us in this spot. You could have showed me that before now. We have legal obligations.
Can I show you?
I'll be glad to meet with you after this meeting, and that's,
Can I make the public comments at the end of the meeting?
if you have the right to make public comment at the end of the meeting.
What will happen because your all's vote will be illegal.
Okay.
And I want 3-minute decorum today, too, please. If you can. I know you're under.
All right. So do we have any other comments or discussion today? Is there any other discussion? All right. So we do have a motion and a second to approve the second reading of ordinance 2026-004, land use change 2494 Election Road from UC7 Agriculture to UC5 Industrial. No more discussion. Call the roll, please.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Master Lockmuller?
Yes.
Master Botkin?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. All right, thank you, Bert. Next on the agenda, second reading of ordinance 2026-005 is the land use change of 2401 Duncannon Lane from UC7 Agriculture to UC4 General Business. Bert.
An ordinance of the Madison County Fiscal Court, Kentucky, approving the zone change of 2401 Duncannon Lane, Richmond, Kentucky, and authorizing the amendment of the official zoning map of Madison County, Kentucky. Whereas the hereinafter described land is located in Madison County, Kentucky, and whereas the Madison County Planning Commission held a public hearing on Tuesday, July 21st, 2026, to consider a land use change request application from UC7 Agriculture to UC4 General Business. Upon presentation by the applicant and public comment and testimony, findings of fact were made by the Planning Commission as described in their summary of evidence, findings of fact, and recommendation to the fiscal court, attached hereto and are made part hereof for all purposes as follows. And the ordinance contains the proposed findings of fact and a legal description. Now therefore be it ordained and enacted by the fiscal court of the County of Madison, Commonwealth of Kentucky, that the land use classification of the following described property be changed by this ordinance from UC7 to UC4 classification. That the Madison County GIS coordinator make the appropriate changes to the official zoning map of Madison County, Kentucky, that the county clerk cause this ordinance to be published in accordance with the Kentucky revised statutes, and that this ordinance shall become effective on the date of the second reading and adoption.
Members of the court, you've heard second reading of ordinance 2026-005, land use change for 2401 Duncannon Lane from UC7 Agriculture to UC4 General Business.
Motion to approve ordinance 2026-005, Judge.
Second.
Have a motion, a second. Any discussion? Any further information, Bert?
No, sir.
Hearing no discussion, call the roll.
Master Lockmuller?
Yes.
Master Botkin?
Yes.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Next, second reading of ordinance 2026-006, land use change 2747 Lancaster Road from UC7 agriculture to UC1 single-family residential.
An ordinance of the Madison County Fiscal Court, Kentucky, approving the zone change of 2747 Lancaster Road, Richmond, Kentucky, and authorizing the amendment of the official zoning map of Madison County, Kentucky. Whereas the hereinafter described land is located in Madison County, Kentucky, and whereas the Madison County Planning Commission held a public hearing on Tuesday, July 21st, 2026, to consider a land use change request application from UC7 agriculture to UC1 single-family residential. Upon presentation by the applicant and public comment and testimony, findings of fact were made by the Planning Commission as described in their summary of evidence, findings of fact, and recommendation of the fiscal court attached hereto and made a part hereof for all purposes as follows. And again, the ordinance has the proposed findings of fact and a legal description of the property. Now therefore be it ordained and enacted by the fiscal court of the County of Madison, Commonwealth of Kentucky, that the land use classification of the following described property be changed by this ordinance from UC7 to UC1 classification. The Madison County GIS coordinator make the appropriate changes to the official zoning map of Madison County, Kentucky, that the county clerk cause this ordinance to be published in accordance with the Kentucky Revised Statutes, and that this ordinance shall become effective on the date of the second reading and adoption.
Thank you, Bert. Members of the court, you've heard ordinance 2026-006. What's the pleasure of the court?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve. Second reading of ordinance 2026-006. Any discussion? All right, hearing none, call the roll.
Master Buchan,
Yes.
Master Combs.
Yes.
Master Lockmuller.
Yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes. Next is resolution 2026-071. It's the Bluegrass Army Depot Interagency Emergency Services Dispatch Support Mutual Aid Agreement. Jill, good morning.
Good morning. This is a resolution of the Fiscal Court authorizing the signature of a memorandum of understanding for mutual aid for interagency emergency services dispatch support between Madison County, Kentucky, and the U.S. Army at the Bluegrass Army Depot. Whereas the county and the Bluegrass Army Depot, referred to collectively as the parties, wish to enter into a memorandum of understanding for interagency emergency services dispatch support. And whereas the Madison County Public Safety Advisory Board voted unanimously during a special called Public Safety Advisory Board meeting on July 22nd, 2026, that would be in the best interest of the parties to enter into said agreement. And whereas the parties agreed to receive and transfer all 911 calls that originate from within the boundaries of the Bluegrass Army Depot when necessary as outlined in the mutual aid agreement. Now therefore be it resolved that the fiscal court does hereby approve this resolution and authorizes the judge executive and/or his designee to execute the contracts on behalf of the county.
Motion approved resolution 2026-071, Judge.
Second.
All right, thank you all. Have a motion and a second. Any further information? It's pretty standard.
It's pretty standard. It's based on our partnership and mutual aid that we continue to have with the Bluegrass Army Depot should there be an emergency at either site that we need to use each other's services.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Jill. Any discussion? Anyone else? We do have a motion and a second to approve resolution 2026-071. Hearing none, call the roll.
Master Combs.
Yes.
Master Lockmuller.
Yes.
Master Buchan.
Yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes. Next, resolution 2026-072. This is FY 2027 fall road paving. Scott, good morning.
Good morning. A resolution of the Madison County Fiscal Court relating to fall road paving of the roads outlined in the county road list as allocated and based on the greatest need. Whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court recognizes that safe and well-maintained roads, bridges, and infrastructure are fundamental to public safety, economic development, emergency response, school transportation, and the overall quality of life for the citizens of Madison County. And whereas, over the last decade, the Fiscal Court has made an intentional effort to prioritize infrastructure improvements, implementing a structured road assessment system, and committing significant funding annually towards road resurfacing, bridge repair, drainage improvements, and long-term capital planning. And whereas the Madison County Road Department conducts regular road condition assessments utilizing an established rating scale to evaluate pavement conditions, structural integrity, drainage performance, and overall safety, allowing the fiscal court to prioritize projects based on objective need. And whereas the fiscal court remains committed to the worst first approach, ensuring that available resources are directed towards the roads most in need of rehabilitation to extend pavement life and reduce long-term cost. Now therefore be it resolved by the Madison County Fiscal Court, the Fiscal Court hereby authorizes the expenditure from existing available county funds for asphalt resurfacing using the annual bid of $120.55 per laid ton for asphalt in the amount of $1.1 million. The funds shall be allocated towards the high-priority roadways identified in the most recent county road assessment by magisterial district percentages, including the list attached hereto. The county judge executive and the Madison County Road Department are hereby authorized to proceed with scheduling and execution of said paving projects in accordance with all applicable Kentucky revised statute and county purchasing policies. It is the ongoing intent of the Fiscal Court to continue prioritizing infrastructure investments as a core funding of county government, recognizing that sustained funding, long-term planning, and disciplined financial management are essential to maintaining safe roads and protecting taxpayer investment. Be it therefore resolved that the Madison County Fiscal Court does hereby approve this resolution and authorizes the judge executive and/or his designee to execute the same on behalf of the county.
Thank you, Scott. Members of the court, you've heard Resolution 2026-072. Need a motion and a second to approve, please.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Judge, for the 4th District, we're doing Ava Drive, Welchwood Drive, Spurlock Drive, and West Rice Lane are the 4 roads with a potential for new road to be done later on.
Well, new road's a different pot of money.
Yeah, different pot of money, that's right.
That's why it's not on this
It's going to
list.
be done.
That's right.
Yeah. It's
Right.
state, it was state, basically state discretionary.
Yeah.
And Judge, I would like to add that I shared with each magistrate, I know Mr. Hughes is not here today, but I shared with each magistrate what the roads would be, what the funding would be. Mr. Hughes was elated with my choices and seemed very pleased, so
Okay.
if that's a factor in the vote.
Yeah. No, it's good. Thank you for that.
I tried to squeeze a little more money out of.
You
out
did,
of,
you didn't get it,
Scott to get Pinehurst done as well, because it's just a train wreck.
Yeah.
And, these roads are bad, but there's others that are equally as bad. And, I'm glad to see that, that Spurlock had made the list, because we done, Spring Lake several years ago. It's probably been 4 or 5 years ago we did Spring Lake. But if everybody remembers, if you live out there, whenever we did that, we run out of money. We didn't have enough money to do Spurlock. So, finally, this is the promise kept out there for getting that done as well in Welchwood Drive. I lived on Welchwood Drive for 8 of the years while we've been in office. And when we accepted Welchwood Drive in, it was done before we got in office, but when it was done, the new addition to Welchwood Drive had never had the second coat of blacktop put on it. So this will be the first full coat of blacktop from one end to the other on Welchwood Drive, and it's way overdue. But I never would do it while I was in office, because I didn't want people saying, oh, well, look, Magistrate Bakken over there is getting the street, he lives on blacktop.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, it's a train wreck out there too, and those folks are going to be thrilled that that's getting done out there now, so.
It's good.
I don't live on Welchwood Drive anymore, by the way.
Now,
Thank
you're a very city boy now, aren't you? Anyone else?
For the 1st District, roads approved are Beech Grove Road and Gravel Lick Branch Road. With LARP requests, LARP is the state money that has to go before the legislature. That would be Muddy Creek South and Log Cabin Road. All these roads are in very bad condition. The 1st District, we have 96 miles. And normally we get about a mile of funding. I mean, it's not a good situation, folks. It's a 96-year turnaround for roads, and they don't last 96 years. But Scott, thank you for what you do at the road department and making a dollar go as far as it can go. So appreciate you.
Judge, I just want to mention that we've been working on this for some time, and the LARP funds as well in District 2, Simpson Lane, and I know we had to get some additional dollars from there. But also, I know that in talking with the folks that they're going to be very happy about Carver's Ferry Road, which is a request in, because that's a quite a lengthy road out there. I mean, that project alone's close to $500,000, and then White Valley Road. So we appreciate the opportunity to help our citizens, and Scotty, thank you from me as well. The job you've done and are doing is much appreciated.
Thanks.
All right. We do have a motion and second to approve Resolution 2026-072. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, call the roll.
Master Lockmiller?
Yes.
Master Buchan?
Yes.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes, thank you, Scott. Next is Resolution 2026-073. This is Home Incarceration Monitoring System Agreement Amendment Number 1.
Yes, this is a resolution authorizing Amendment 1 to an agreement between the Madison County Fiscal Court and MCON Home Guard LLC for home incarceration monitoring system services. Whereas Madison County Fiscal Court requested bids in June of 2023 for home incarceration monitoring system services to meet the needs of our judicial system. And whereas Madison County Fiscal Court voted unanimously on June 27th, 2023 to award the bid to MCON Home Guard, a Kentucky limited liability company by Resolution 2023-85. And whereas Madison County Fiscal Court and MCON entered into an agreement for global positioning system monitoring for county offenders on July 1, 2023 for comprehensive home incarceration monitoring systems and management. And whereas MCON has requested to amend the cost of services for the current agreement due to inflation. And whereas the parties have agreed for the cost provision is fair and wish to amend the current agreement as outlined in Amendment 1. And whereas the parties further agree the remaining provisions of the agreement shall remain the same in full force and effect. Now therefore be it resolved that the Fiscal Court does hereby approve this resolution and authorizes the Judge Executive and/or his designee to execute the same on behalf of the county.
Thank you, Jill. Members of the court, you've heard Resolution 2026-073. What's the pleasure of the court?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second to approve. Any discussion?
Thank you for the information that I was asking about on the contract price and how they came up with that. Our price on this is going to increase from $8 a day to $9.50 a day. And so I was just had some concerns about where that number came from, but I appreciate that.
I know she's not here today, but I talked with County Attorney Heyman at length about this too, because obviously the judicial system is who, as well as the jail, is who uses the home incarceration program. And both are incredibly satisfied with the system and the process that we have in place at this time, and are in support of moving forward with this because of how good this agreement has been.
If y'all remember, several years ago, we tried to do it or say it like in-house, and it was a struggle. It was a challenge, and so this partnership actually has been good. Yeah. You measure it sometimes by not having any complaints.
You're right about that.
Yeah.
That's definitely changed.
Yeah.
You
So,
know, and you look at the price though, $9.50 a day is better than 30.
Yeah.
35, every bit of it,
35 in
yeah.
our
Yeah.
jail, so.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Anyone else? Any other discussion? We do have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2026-073. Hearing none, Clerk Barger, call the roll, please.
Master Buchan?
Yes.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Master Lockmiller?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Next, Resolution 2026-074 is litter abatement grant funds for calendar year 2027. Scott?
A resolution for application and administration of calendar year 2027 Kentucky Energy and Environmental Cabinet Division of Waste Management Litter Abatement Grant Funds. Whereas the Kentucky Energy and Environmental Cabinet Division of Waste Management calendar year 2027 litter abatement grant allows units of local government to apply for litter abatement grant funds to be used for the direct expense as defined in 401 KAR 49080, Section 3, incurred during calendar year 2027 associated with anti-litter control programs for litter cleanup on public roads as provided in KRS 22443-505 and 3 to meet the requirements established in KRS 22443-345. And whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court, Kentucky, desires to make an application for calendar year 2027 litter abatement grant funds, and whereas the amount of funding available per county will be calculated in accordance with statutory requirements, and the amount of grant funding each county is eligible for to receive will not be determined until after November the 2nd, 2026, when all applications are reviewed by the Division of Waste Management. And whereas there is no local match required. Now therefore be it resolved this 11th day of August 2026 by Madison County, Kentucky, the judge executive and/or his designee is hereby authorized to make application for these funds, and if the application is successful, to enter into an agreement with the Kentucky Division of Waste Management to administer these grant funds, to execute any documents which are deemed necessary to facilitate and administer the award, and to act as the authorized correspondents for the above referenced project.
Motion approved resolution 2026-074, Judge.
Second.
All right, have a motion and a second to approve resolution 2026-074. Anything else, Scott, you need to add?
No, this is just the funding we get every year that we have signups for, and any nonprofit organization can sign up. They get paid $100 a mile to go out and pick up the roads deemed by the state, and then we just work as a reimbursement firm for the state. They give us the money, we give it out to the groups. It helps the local ball teams. We have some churches involved, just a lot of different organizations.
I think Boy
benefit.
Scouts, Girl Scout troops,
Yes,
I think do it.
and the county really benefits by getting the trash picked up.
It's good. Thank you. Anyone else? Any other comment?
We had about 60+ thousand last year.
I think it was right around 62,000, and we've been running on that for about the last 5 years.
Good, thank you.
Anyone else? We do have a motion and a second to approve resolution 2026-074. Hearing none, Clerk Barger, call the roll.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Master Lockmiller?
Yes.
Master Bucking?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes. Next, resolution 2026-075, establishment of Berea Volunteer Fire Department. Chief, good morning, buddy.
Resolution 2026-075, a resolution establishing a proposed fire response area for the Berea Volunteer Fire Department. Finding the area to be presently unserved, authorizing submission to the Kentucky Fire Commission for approval, and authorizing the execution of a memorandum of agreement for fire protection services. Whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court is charged with promoting the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of Madison County and recognizing the importance of providing adequate fire protection services through the county. And whereas KRS Chapter 75 and Administrative Regulation of the Kentucky Fire Commission governing the establishment and approval of fire department response areas authorize local governments to establish and submit proposed fire response areas for approval by the Kentucky Fire Commission. Whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court, along with the City of Berea, has determined that the area identified on the attached map incorporated herein as Exhibit A is not currently assigned to an approved fire department response area and therefore underserved with respect to fire protection services. And whereas the proposed response area has been reviewed and determined to be capable of being adequately served by the Berea Volunteer Fire Department utilizing its existing personnel, equipment, facilities, and operational capabilities. Whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court finds the proposed response area is consistent with the public interest and will improve emergency response capabilities and fire protection for the affected residents. Whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court further finds the proposed response area does not conflict with an existing Kentucky Fire Commission approved fire department response area, or if any overlap or modification is identified during the Kentucky Fire Commission review process, Madison County shall comply with all notifications, documentation, and procedural requirements established by the Kentucky Fire Commission prior to final approval. Whereas Madison County Fiscal Court desires to submit the proposed response area to the Kentucky Fire Commission for review and approval in accordance with the applicable statutes and administrative regulations. Whereas upon approval by the Kentucky Fire Commission, Madison County desires to enter into a memorandum of agreement with the Berea Volunteer Fire Department, establishing the terms under which the department will provide fire protection services to the approved response area. Now therefore it be resolved by the Madison County Fiscal Court as follows. Section 1, approval of proposed run area. The Madison County Fiscal Court hereby approves the proposed fire department response area identified in Exhibit A, and designates the Berea Volunteer Fire Department as a proposed fire service provider for the area and subject to approval by the Fire Commission. Section 2, submission to the Kentucky Fire Commission. County Judge Executive is hereby authorized and directed to submit the resolution, the proposed run area map, and any additional applications, maps, affidavits, certifications, notices, or supporting documents required by the Kentucky Fire Commission to obtain approval of the proposed response area. Section 3, compliance with Kentucky Fire Commission requirements. Madison County shall comply with all applicable provisions of KRS Chapter 75 and all Kentucky Fire Commission administrative regulations governing the establishment, modification, or approval of fire department response area, including any required notices to adjoining fire departments or government entities should notice become necessary. Section 4, memorandum of agreement. Upon approval of the proposed response area by the Kentucky Fire Commission, The county judge executive is hereby authorized to negotiate and execute on behalf of the Madison County Fiscal Court a memorandum of agreement with the Berea Volunteer Fire Department for the provision of fire protection services within the approved response area. The memorandum of agreement may include, but is not limited to, fire protection and emergency response responsibilities, operational expectations and service standards, mutual aid obligations, reporting requirements, insurance and liability provisions, compliance with applicable state and local laws, terms, renewals, amendments, and termination provisions, and any additional terms deemed necessary by the county attorney and approved by the county judge executive. The memorandum of agreement shall be subject to review and approved by the Madison County attorney as to form and legalities. Section 5, implementation. Following approval by the Kentucky Fire Commission, execution of the memorandum of agreement, the Berea Volunteer Fire Department shall become the designated provider of fire service protection for the approved response area. Section 6, additional authority. The county judge executive, county attorney, Madison County Emergency Management Director, fire chief, Emergency Communications Center, and any other appropriate county officials are hereby authorized to execute all documents and take all action necessary to implement the intent of this resolution, satisfy the requirements of the Kentucky Fire Commission. Section 7, the effective date, this resolution shall become effective immediately upon its adoption.
Take your breath, Chief.
Yeah.
That's a long one.
I've also got Chief Russell and Chief Morris here.
Yeah.
Motion approved resolution 2026-075, Judge.
Second.
All right, any comments? Chief, you have anything to add?
No, it's something that's, if Berea Fire Department and Berea Volunteer is two separate departments that have two separate chiefs, but they're under one FDI number. So any kind of grants, any opportunities come up, they only get one. It neglects the other one. One gets it, the other one can't because they're established under one fire department number. And the Fire Commission's been wanting this changed for 6 or 7 years. We've been working on this a little over 2 years now, I think, trying to get all the detail, the map. We sent it to ISO to get their approval and back, because we want to make sure we're not taking away from anybody on their homeowner's insurance.
Right.
And I don't know if Chris put the map up or not, but you can see it's not really a 5-mile run area we give them, because it's a year before their insurance ISO rating gets established. They have to be there for a year and run in that area to get that documentation. So we don't want somebody that's covered by Berea Fire Department now that's got an ISO rating to take that away, then they don't have any insurance coverage.
Right.
So that's the reason the red area is a little chopped up. We wanted to give them an area that nobody's got anything right now, so hopefully in a year when they come back, they'll still be responding in those other areas. It's not going against your ISO.
Right. Which is not only is important to have that coverage, but it also helps property owners with
Correct.
their insurance premium.
I think this is going to help about 1,154 residents that's currently not served by a fire protection district.
All right. Any questions, members of the court? We do have a motion and second to approve resolution 2026-075. And then there'll be once it goes through steps at the state for approvals, then there'll be other things coming back to our governing body here to
Correct.
approve. Right?
Yes.
MOAs and things like that. Yeah. Okay. So this is kind of just a step one, I guess.
Yeah, we have to have fiscal court's approval in order to send all of our documentation to the Fire Commission to get their blessing on it next.
Okay. All right. Any questions? Anyone? All right. Clerk Barger, call the roll.
Master Lockmuller,
Yes.
Master Bachman,
Yes.
Master Combs.
Yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes, thanks,
Thank you
Chief.
all.
Appreciate it. Next, first reading of ordinance 2026-007, land use change 2775 Lancaster Road from UC7 agricultural to UC1 single-family residential. Remember, this is just a first reading. Bert, good morning again.
Good morning again. An ordinance of the Madison County Fiscal Court, Kentucky, approving the zone change of 2775 Lancaster Road, Richmond, Kentucky, and authorizing the amendment of the official zoning map of Madison County, Kentucky. Whereas the hereinafter described land is located in Madison County, Kentucky, and whereas the Madison County Planning Commission held a public hearing on Tuesday, July 21st, 2026, to consider a land use change request application from UC7 agriculture to UC1 single-family residential. Upon presentation by the applicant and public comment and testimony, findings of fact were made by the Planning Commission as described in their summary of evidence, findings of fact, and recommendation to the fiscal court attached hereto and made a part hereof for all purposes as follows. And you'll have a copy of those findings. Whereas the Madison County Planning Commission, upon hearing testimony, made a motion with unanimous consent to recommend to the Madison County Fiscal Court to approve the land use change request from UC7 to UC1. And whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court has reviewed said findings and recommendation of the Madison County Planning Commission and being otherwise sufficiently advised, does hereby adopt the findings of fact made thereby. Now therefore be it ordained and enacted by the Fiscal Court of the County of Madison, Commonwealth of Kentucky, that the land use classification of the following described property be changed by this ordinance from UC7 to UC1 classification. Section 1 contains a legal description of the property. Section 2, the Madison County GIS Coordinator make the appropriate changes to the official zoning map of Madison County, Kentucky. Section 3, that the county clerk cause this ordinance to be published in accordance with the Kentucky Revised Statutes. And Section 4, that this ordinance shall become effective on the date of the second reading and adoption.
I appreciate it. This is the first reading, but I want to open it up for the magistrates if y'all have any questions or anything. Obviously, there is no vote. This will go to our next fiscal court meeting for second reading. Of course, this is part of that previous planning commission meeting where they had the public hearing. Public comments was given on July 21st. So if you didn't get to watch that, I would encourage you to go watch it, or at least
If you've watched that meeting, this one was part of that meeting.
Is there anything you want to add, Bert?
No.
All right. Hearing no comments, a draft copy of this ordinance will be available on our website at www.madisoncountyky.gov under the Government tab, Transparency and Public Notices. All right, next, first read of ordinance 2026-008. This is a land use change at 215 Avawam Drive from UC1 Single Family Residential to UC2 Multifamily Residential. Bert.
An ordinance of the Madison County Fiscal Court, Kentucky, approving the zone change of 215 Avawam Drive, Richmond, Kentucky, and authorizing the amendment of the official zoning map of Madison County, Kentucky. Whereas the hereinafter described land is located in Madison County, Kentucky, and whereas the Madison County Planning Commission held a public hearing on Tuesday, July 21st, 2026, to consider a land use change request application from UC1 Single Family Residential to UC2 Multifamily Residential. Upon presentation by the applicant and public comment and testimony, findings of fact were made by the Planning Commission as described in their summary of evidence, findings of fact and recommendation to the fiscal court attached hereto and made a part hereof for all purposes as follows, and you have a copy in the ordinance of those proposed findings. Whereas the Madison County Planning Commission, upon hearing testimony, made a motion with unanimous consent to recommend to the Madison County Fiscal Court to approve the land use change request from UC1 to UC2. And whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court has reviewed said findings and recommendation of the Madison County Planning Commission and being otherwise sufficiently advised, and does hereby adopt the findings of fact made thereby. Now therefore be it ordained and enacted by the Fiscal Court of the County of Madison, Commonwealth of Kentucky, that the land use change classification of the following described property be changed by this ordinance from UC1 to UC2 classification. Section 1 contains a legal description of the property. Section 2, the Madison County GIS Coordinator make the appropriate changes to the official zoning map of Madison County, Kentucky. And Section 3, that the county clerk cause this ordinance to be published in accordance with the Kentucky Revised Statutes. Section 4, that this ordinance shall become effective on the date of the second reading and adoption.
All right, thank you. Again, this is a first reading. There is no vote required. Members of the court, do you have any questions? I think this is the one that's going to be like a townhome kind of
a gated community for 55 and over.
55 plus.
55 over, yeah.
There's some condos already in Boone's Trace. This is a development within a development, I guess you'd say, where Boone's Trace has some separate zonings already, multifamily, single family. They have the golf course, obviously, some public area zoning. So they want to take one section of that that's already single family and convert it over to the multifamily so they can do duplexes, townhomes, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's,
they're going to sell them individually, right?
I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, I guess that's side of the plan. Yeah.
it's also supported by HOA out there, so I mean, it's.
The HOA president was present at the public hearing, and he was the only one to speak on this item on the agenda, and he was in support of it.
All right, thank you. Any questions, members of the court? You good? All right. A draft copy of this ordinance will be available on our website at www.madisoncountyky.gov under the Government tab, Transparency and Public Notices. All right, next, first reading of ordinance 2026-009. This is a land use change, 200 Moore Mill Road from UC7 and UC7 Agriculture to UC1 Single Family Residential.
An An ordinance of the Madison County Fiscal Court, Kentucky, approving the zone change of 200 Moore Mill Road, Richmond, Kentucky, and authorizing the amendment of the official zoning map of Madison County, Kentucky. Whereas the hereinafter described land is located in Madison County, Kentucky, and whereas the Madison County Planning Commission held a public hearing on Tuesday, July 21st, 2026, to consider land use change request application from R7 and UC7 agriculture to UC1 single-family residential. Upon presentation by the applicant and public comment and testimony, findings of fact were made by the Planning Commission as described in their summary of evidence, findings of fact, and recommendation to the fiscal court attached hereto, and made a part hereof for all purposes as follows. And you have a copy of those recommended findings. Whereas the Madison County Planning Commission, upon hearing testimony, made a motion with unanimous consent to recommend to the Madison County Fiscal Court to approve the land use change request from R7 and UC7 to UC1. And whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court has reviewed said findings and recommendation of the Madison County Planning Commission, and being otherwise sufficiently advised, and does hereby adopt the findings of fact made thereby. Now therefore be it ordained and enacted by the Fiscal Court of the County of Madison, Commonwealth of Kentucky, that the land use classification of the following described property be changed by this ordinance from R7 and UC7 to UC1 classification. Section 1 contains the legal description of the property. Section 2, the Madison County GIS Coordinator make the appropriate changes to the official zoning map of Madison County, Kentucky. Section 3, that the county clerk cause this ordinance to be published in accordance with the Kentucky revised statutes. And Section 4, that this ordinance shall become effective on the date of the second reading and adoption.
All right. Again, this is the first reading. This does not require a vote. Members of the court, do you have any questions? We'll have our second reading at our next fiscal court meeting. Anyone?
I got a question that doesn't pertain to this particular. Should I wait till?
Does it involve me?
It involves you, yes.
Well, I think it would be better to wait till.
Wait till,
Yeah,
okay, all right.
magistrate.
Sorry about that, Bert.
All right.
All right, any discussion? All right. Anything else you need to add, Bert? You good? All right, a draft copy of this ordinance will be available at on our website at www.madisoncountyky.gov under the Government tab, Transparency and Public Notices.
Thank y'all.
Thanks. Next, personnel.
Yes, I would just ask the fiscal court to approve the 2 status changes that are currently in your court packet.
So moved.
Second.
All right, have a motion and a second to approve the status changes as presented. Any discussion? Call the roll.
Master Botkin?
Yes.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Master Lockmiller?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Next, the judge's report. Just a few announcements. Kentucky River Foothills is now accepting applications for the LIHEAP summer subsidy cooling component. The program provides a one-time electric benefit to help eligible households with summer cooling costs. Applications will be accepted through Friday, September the 11th, 2026, or until available funds are depleted. Appointments are required and can be scheduled by calling 859-544-1713. Also, remember to visit our website at www.madisoncountyky.gov/community events to see a list of some of the events happening throughout our community. If you have an event you would like to feature on this page, simply click on the Submit an Event button and complete the form. And it's not on my report today, but I do think Pops in the Parks this coming Saturday. Yep. So anybody that would want to attend that. That's the end of my remarks. Tom, master comment.
Judge, I just want to reemphasize that, what we're going through right now, to some degree, is a direct impact from what has happened in the past in the comprehensive plan. That comprehensive plan is being redone right now. And I made the comment about this at the last court, and somebody responded back to me and said that they had tried to see on the county website about future meetings and things like that, and that they weren't able to find that. So, Jill, I'm ready to put you on the spot. And Chris, wherever he's hiding at, just to say that, this is probably the most important thing that we're doing right now. And I'd like to make sure that is can be found pretty easily up on the front page when we have meetings that are coming up, so that folks can participate in that. I can tell you now, in the first meeting that we did have, was about 30 people showed up. Everybody that's in this room right now should be at the next one whenever it's scheduled, whenever they have it. And make sure that you do those surveys and all that, because it all matters. Every bit of it matters. Also, I think that it's important because that, you know, from my point of view, looking at some of the maps need to be changed. But that's not what we're working with. But for future and for the next set of years that it governs, you need to have a voice in it. So please show up for those things.
Not at this moment, it's just my extra comment, but in just a minute.
It was just pertaining to the comprehensive plan. If things are things posted online that they're going to be covered in those comprehensive plans? Because we went to one and there was just one item and it was 9 minutes.
So the comprehensive plan process, you have public meetings, you have the surveys, and you compile all of that data that has been submitted from those comments from the public meetings. That is the phase that is in process right now. They're tabulating all of that information, which will then go back to the Planning Commission when you will have a public hearing and things of that nature. So just like all things as part of the law, there is a process and a procedural thing that you would go through, and that's kind of the procedural elements to go through the comprehensive plan. But it'll go back for a public hearing at the Planning Commission and then ultimately come back to fiscal court for final approval, much like a zone change. But yes, Tom, to answer your question, when public meetings are scheduled, they're always put on the website. We even have gone so far and we put them on the screens out in the lobby, as well as other things to make sure that there are ample opportunity for people to see those. And the current comprehensive plan is on during I think it's documents section of the planning and zoning website is where the current comprehensive plan is currently located.
So then that will let you know what is coming up of things that are going to be covered in that comprehensive plan? Or do you just show up and who knows what's going to be covered?
Well,
We were there for 9 minutes.
There was one agenda item.
That one agenda item, and so not that it was a waste of time,
There was
but.
no plan.
But I think we're talking about two different things. I think we're talking about a planning commission work session, which is a different thing than the comprehensive plan. We're talking about two very, very different statutory obligations. So a planning work session is where you review site plans and those sorts of things, and Bert can probably speak to that at greater length, but I don't know that that's necessary. But it will say on the agenda, site plan review, or whatever the agenda item is, it does say on there. And if there's only one item on there, that means there's only one item covered.
Yeah, planning, I'm sorry, I didn't understand what you were saying. Planning commission meetings, that's work sessions, and those business meetings are totally separate from the comprehensive plan. Yeah, comprehensive plan is only redone every 5 years. Tom?
Good, thank you. So the last thing I had was just merely the roads. You know, I'm glad that we decided as a group to get the fall blacktopping done. It was going to just be another burden that would be carried on. And, you know, we've all got the roads list. Scott used the road list. You know, we've got the one that shows how they're rated from the top to bottom. And we're trying to follow that as best that we can. But, you know, for every road that's there, at one point in time, I figured it. I took every road that was in the 4th district. District's changed now, but I took every road at that point in time, put it in. It was going to be about 34 years. If you could start at the bottom, start at the top and go to the bottom, blacktop every single road there was. Of course, you can't do that. Some roads are traveled more than others, so in the middle of that, you have to go back and re-blacktop the heavy traveled ones all over again. So any blacktop we get is good blacktop, and I just thank you for giving us that extra money that we can do that with. And if anyone needs me, they can reach me at 200-9765.
Thanks, Tom. Brian?
Just want to thank everybody for being here. It's good to have this kind of public support, public input. As far as roads go, I think Scott said Wednesday, gravel lick will be started, which will be great. I know those folks out there have been waiting on it for a long time, and hopefully this will help out a lot. Other than that, Judge, just glad to be here.
Thanks, Brian. Steve?
Just got the one question for Bert. I said it loud enough so he'd hear me. Lucky man, come in, please. Well, and I don't know that you have an answer, and I'm not necessarily looking for an answer on this question, but I wanted to bring it up because it's been brought up to me several times by a lot of different people, and I don't know that it's ever covered in a comprehensive plan or coordination or whatever, but, you know, with the disaster we had, devastation that we had on Tates Creek Road with the floods, I don't know the answer to this, that's why I'm asking it. There's no hidden agenda here, but I think the public deserves an answer. What kind of coordination in that particular area? You know, you hear a lot of people say, you know, a lot more roads, a lot more subdivisions. Oh, there's a new park. Oh, there's a new school. Oh, there's going to be a new a subdivision development up at Barnes Mill and Goggins. What sort of coordination goes into effect both when let's say down the road there's a piece of property as far as flooding and runoff between the county and the cities?
Probably not much, if any.
And that's all I was looking for.
I will say some of those.
I'm not being critical when
No,
I say this either,
no,
but that's a challenge when the city's growing out into the county and the county's trying to grow and they're not talking. And I don't mean that in a negative way towards the city, but as we grow together, I mean, Duncannon Lane's a great example. Somebody ought to be talking.
I think that's somebody, in the scenario you're speaking to, the creek on Goggins Lane, Tates Creek itself, some of those blue line streams, some of those larger waterways, where a lot of the problems happen, they are regulated. They're regulated at the state level. So we have a project that happens in one of those areas. We have to make sure that the developer, the designer, or the engineer gets the proper floodplain permits, gets the proper calculations submitted with respect to that project. The city would have to do the same thing. They would be regulated the same way we are now. As far as their specific regulations, what their stormwater and detention and retention requirements are in the city, I don't know, but
Yeah, I'm not asking
yeah,
that. I'm just
and
talking
they
more
have those
about-
recommendations just like we do. But when you talk about dumping water into a blue line stream, crossing a blue line stream, slowing water down or speeding water up, you're either affecting people upstream or you're affecting people downstream. The Division of Water would regulate all that, whether it was the city or the county.
I'm just trying to get information and get information out to the public. Thank you.
Okay.
Is that it, Steve? You good?
Yeah,
Yeah.
good, thank you.
Counselor, you got anything? Kenny?
No, sir. No other thing.
Sheriff? You good? You good? You're welcome. Department heads, any department heads need to address the court today? Everybody good? All right, public comment. Eva McKee. Eva? Eva, if you don't mind, just state your name, please, for the record.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Eva Tudor McKee. I live at 2640 Lancaster Road, Richmond. This property lies adjacent to Moran Mill Road, better known to locals as 1295. I'd like to thank you all for the opportunity to speak today. I'm nervous, so forgive me if I lose my train of thought here. I'm not a farmer with hundreds of acres of land, excuse me, or a builder. I've served this community for 30 years as a nurse. I've lived on a farm in Madison County all my life, and I've seen lots of changes. I've seen the loss of our beautiful farmland, our wildlife, and their habitat. I've seen the loss of history and the loss of honesty. The comprehensive plan encourages the preservation of culture, historical, and archaeological finds. The University of Kentucky did an archaeological dig on my farm and found artifacts from the Adena Indians. Thus, I named my farm Adena Point. This type of history will be lost once it's covered by asphalt and houses. Page 63 of the comprehensive plan states, quote, support Madison County's Historical Society and other related groups in their efforts to preserve and conserve the county's historical resources. Seek out additional opportunities to spotlight historical sites of Madison County, end quote. Wildlife. I've seen bald eagles, hawks, deers, wild turkeys, skunks, coyotes, and many other wildlife on my farm. Where will they go once the habitat is destroyed? Future generations will only see this wildlife in books, internet, zoos, because there will be no more wildlife roaming once their habitat's destroyed. Page 54 of the comprehensive plan states, quote, "A deliberate and continued effort should be made to link all resources within the county and channel them in one direction, which is the betterment of the Madison County," end quote. We are losing farmland at a record pace. How is this betterment of the county? The comprehensive plan's goal is to promote tourism. Tourists don't want to see miles of factories or rows of houses, but open, beautiful scenic views or cattle and horses grazing peacefully. Have they ever seen baby sheep and goats frolicking in the fields? They want to hike undisturbed native trails. They don't want to hike through parking lots. It was mentioned earlier in meetings, young people want to farm but can't afford to. Why can't we take some of the money spent on things we already have and develop programs so these young people can farm and stay in the county? A quote from the comprehensive plan's page 70, quote, "The county groundwater supply is not sufficient quantity or quality to meet the demand of urban development," end quote. On page 42 of the comprehensive plan, a site evaluation for septic systems is required. Has this been done? Page 20 states there must be adequate access to roadway. If a large number of homes are built on this property, will there be adequate access? There's a road, there's access, but is there adequate access? Has a study of the Silver Creek watershed been done to show effectiveness of water management programs per page 71 of the comprehensive plan? Losing farmland at a record pace, what happens when there's a food shortage and no farms to grow beef or pigs or produce, no farmer's market? Who wants to eat lab-grown meat? I don't. With the increase in houses, there will be 2 to 3 drivers per house, increasing traffic significantly. This puts a farmer at great danger moving his equipment down the road. In the past, we had a tractor turn into our driveway, got hit by a car due to the nature of the road. The tractor was broken in half. The farmer wasn't significantly hurt, but this could easily have been a fatality. Subdivisions and farms don't mix. The Center for Disease Control states over 100 children were killed and roughly 100,000 injured nationwide on farms every year. 80% were children visiting or have strayed from neighboring subdivisions. Subdivisions will increase financial burden for farmer by increasing taxes, insurance, cost of fencing, which may require dealing with multiple people, even lawyers, to get the fence built, maintained, and repaired. The farmer may experience injury or death of their animals due to the neighbor's actions by clipping trees, shrubs, and putting them on the farmer's property. Cattle eat these trimmings, and they die. Let me tell you a funny story. I had a neighbor, this barn got infested with groundhogs. They decided to concrete the barn. So the groundhogs all came to my barn. So I finally got rid of the groundhogs. Another neighbor had a barn infested with groundhogs. They concreted their barn. Well, guess what? All their groundhogs came to my barn. It just goes to show you what one neighbor does can affect the other neighbor. Over time, these pressures can change the economics and feasibility of farming. And when one parcel converts, it creates a domino effect. Adjacent farmers face greater limitations, higher conflict, and eventually strong incentives to sell. This is how fragmentation happens, one parcel at a time. You, members of the Fiscal Court, have the responsibility to find true facts and make a decision you can live with. In closing, I'd like to state from the comprehensive plan, page 71, as a prominent agricultural, rural, and scenic community, growth should be focused in or near existing development and existing utilities. Areas should be preserved and encourage the retaining of natural vegetation and habitat. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Adams. Thank you, Ms. McKee.
Good morning, gentlemen. I appreciate your time and attention this morning. I'm pleased to present myself here this morning to try to convey to you the depth of concern I have over the potential loss of the property.
For the
I'm
record,
sorry.
Julia, for the record, I'm
I'm so
sorry. I hate to
sorry.
interrupt you, but I was waiting for you to say your name, but you
Yeah,
never did.
I am so sorry. My name is Julia Catherine Adams, and I live on 827 Hagan Mill Road.
Thank you.
So, well, maybe before I get to that, I heard one thing said in the process of getting to this stage. I was at the meeting on the 21st, and for all intents and purposes, this may not mean anything, but when the Planning and Zoning Commission voted on 200 Moore and Mill, there was one gentleman that abstained. There was no negative votes, but one gentleman did abstain, and the rest, because not that Mr. Thomas read anything in error, but he said it was a unanimous vote. So I guess on one level it was, but, so anyway, I'm sorry, if I'll start over again. I'm wanting to try to convey the enormous amount of what I think is going to be inflicted on this area of Madison County that is known as the property of 200 Moore and Mill if it is voted to become residential, from land use, what it is, to residential use. And I think in trying to get my thoughts together today, I've spent many hours in prayer, but I came across this Bible verse. This is from the King James Version. This is Jeremiah chapter 2, verse 7. And I brought you into a plentiful country to eat the fruit thereof and the goodness thereof. But when ye entered, ye defiled my land and made mine heritage an abomination. I think abomination has enough of the negative connotations that I feel will impact the farm itself, the surrounding people around it, and anyone that is in sight or hearing if this land use changes to residential. The first thought that hit me when I understood what property was to be developed was, there goes my night sky. Most every evening that is tolerable for me to sit out without freezing to death, I enjoy my night sky. I can see no, I'll call them nighttime security lights. I have no light pollution in my vision. I'll come back to more about the night sky in a couple of minutes. So that's going to affect everyone within sight vision. There'll be noise pollution. I mean, I could list ad nauseum. Everyone knows what noise people can make. Children playing, I mean, there's some happy sounds, but just all kinds of stuff. There will be all kinds of level of trespass. There are critters, people not respecting where the fence ends. That's your side of the fence. This is my side of the fence. I personally don't understand why anybody wants to cross anybody's property lines without being requested. I have no need or desire to get on someone else's property, and I, for the life of me, cannot understand why someone wants to come on mine. But just when I have lived in town, there's just all kinds of trespass going on. There will be runoff. People cannot permit the poor little lowly dandelion to live. They got to get some herbicide, spray it, and what if one spray is good enough? Oh, they give it 5. Well, then that's, I don't know how much poison you've excessively administered for that area. So there's going to be runoff. This 200 Warren Mill property, the way it lays, it is uphill from me. So whatever is not contained, and we all know everything cannot be contained, it's going to run downhill to my property. The way the land lays, some of it is going to be a very quick runoff into Silver Creek. So then we get to, we're trying to be good, in my opinion, to be a good steward. Also, in the King James Version of the Bible, Genesis chapter 2, verse 15, "And the Lord God took the man and put him into the Garden of Eden to dress and keep it." So to me, that I get out of that verse that we're to protect the land. We're to be stewards of the land, to do what's best. It doesn't refer to the animals there, but it just goes hand in hand with, you don't overgraze. You just don't mistreat anything. You don't want to mistreat the local or the native. I don't know if there's a lot of natives that we don't have anymore. But, and where I have served also as a Madison County elective official for the past 20 years with the Madison County Conservation District, I know of all the risk we have of polluting water. And I am so pleased, as a child playing in the Silver Creek, I remember crawdads. I'd play with a long piece of grass and, get the crawdads to jump. For many years, the health of Silver Creek was so poor, there were no crawdads. Or I didn't see them as a child. Maybe you could have gotten underneath a rock and finally found one. But somewhere we're doing things better. The crawdads are now back in the creek. And there has been I've lost track of what year or so it was, but there was enough crawdads to support at least a family of 3 otters in what I can see of Silver Creek. And I don't know if you gentlemen have had the opportunity to see otters play. It's fascinating how agile they are and acrobatic. They are just amazing creatures. But what thrilled me more was a couple of years later, I was working hay. I don't remember now whether I was readying one piece of equipment to get another, finish up mowing for the day, trying to get my, what I needed to move around, or, you have different stages of hay. I just remember I was in the hayfield, and it's hot in the hayfield. And so I'm working, I've got my head down, and I keep feeling that sensation of eyes upon me. Keep looking around. I've had people many times trespassing, walking around, and I keep looking for eyes. Finally, I swiveled my head around, and there up in the tree, looking at me, is a bald eagle. A bald eagle. Our nation's symbol. Folks, we have just celebrated our 250th anniversary of this country. 50 years ago, I'm old enough to remember 1976. I don't know how far you would have had to have traveled to have seen a bald eagle, let alone one flying free, just not a cage, but I think I remember going to the Cincinnati Zoo. But to think, 50 years, we now have a bald eagle. We have several bald eagles. I have only ever seen 2 at one time. Somebody who must have either been walking up or down the road, I don't know how far. They said they have seen as many as 6 at one time. I mean, I don't know that, because all I can personally know is that I have seen 2. But I'll try and read this very quickly. The bald eagle was officially removed from the federal endangered species list in 2007 following successful multi-state recovery and reintroduction efforts. Eagles require bodies of water with fish, surrounded with trees for perching and nesting in undisturbed space. And this is where it comes back to my night sky I was so concerned with in my initial finding out of what property was to be developed and covered with houses and I'm sure street lights and all kinds of security lights. Light pollution from new developments can harm bald eagles by disrupting their natural sleep, feeding, and breeding cycles. While bald eagles are no longer endangered, they remain strictly protected under federal laws like the Bald and Golden Eagle Protection Act, which prohibits disturbing nesting or foraging sites. The Bald and Golden Eagle Protection Act bans any action that agitates or bothers an eagle to the point of causing nesting, abandonment, or lower breeding productivity. So I just find this so completely disturbing that less than 20 years, no telling how many man-hours, federal money has been spent that we can share, that children can ride up and down in some of this local area and see our national anthem, our national emblem. And that they've still got to be delicate as they're, even though they're off the endangered list, but that was my, I was to have been on that agriculture trip that a lot of people are on, but it was one of those things, God kept putting little things in my way. I'm the only person that can share the story the way I have today. I was blessed to grow up on that property. I've been blessed to farm it these past years. And God showed me a bald eagle, and they're still there. So I certainly appreciate your time and attention this morning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Appreciate it. Mayor Lewis.
Mayor Lowitz Kearns. I went home from the last meeting and I thought, I picked up the application for the land use map amendment for 2494 Lexington Road. The first thing I saw was the date applicant purchased property, which showed February 14, 2024. However, the property, deed book 700, page 348, shows it was deeded to Car Acres LLC on February 12, 2014. And property deed book 700, page 127, shows it was deeded to Car Acres LLC on December 26, 2013. And that's highlighted in your all's packet. So on page 3 of the first document, that's highlighted, and page 3 of the second document, that's highlighted. Okay. On the back page of that, which would be the second page of the application, it reads, under applicant's signature, I do hereby certify that, to the best of my knowledge and belief, All applicant material are herein submitted, and the information is true and correct. I further certify that I am the owner of this property since February 14, 2024. Now, if you all will notice, that is signed not by the owner, but by the attorney. Under additional information required, down where it says completed application at the bottom of the page, it shows application must be completed entirely and signed by the property owner. I have attached the documents there from the deed books. It shows the owner's signature was signed by Preston Worley. Nothing legally binding was attached to the application that Preston Worley could fulfill the checklist signed by property owner requirement. An attorney representing the LLC can only sign the owner's signature if the LLC has legally executed a power of attorney designating the lawyer as attorney-in-fact with land use signing authority. Otherwise, the lawyer must limit his signature strictly to the designated applicant's attorney section. Under Kentucky law, the appropriate text for writing KRS 100-211 defines administratively complete proposals. In subsection 2A, it specifies that a zoning map amendment proposal may originate with the Planning Commission, member of fiscal court or legislative body, or the owner of the property. I've given, within your all's package, you have all that. So do you have any questions so far? Now, this research can be done by anybody, and you don't have to be real smart, because I'm not. All right. Now let's look at Car Acres LLC and their business filings with the Kentucky Secretary of State. An LLC corporate standing dictates its legal capacity to take action under KRS Chapter 100, which governs Kentucky's planning and zoning laws. As of this morning, Car Acres LLC status is in bad standing and pending dissolution with the Kentucky Secretary of State. As an LLC proceeds to administrative dissolution, it is legally restricted from conducting any new business, including pursuing discretionary government land use approvals like a zoning map amendment. You will see attached to that document I gave you, KRS 275-300 and KRS 14A-7-002. Based on the fact that the incorrect date the date showing the owner was February 14, 24. Property was deeded to Car Acres LLC on February 12, 2014, and property was deeded to Car Acres LLC on December 26, 2013. Based on the fact that owner's signature was signed by Preston Worley instead of the owner. Based on the fact that under the additional information required checklist responding that completed application was signed by the property owner when it was not. And based on the fact that the Car Acres LLC is presently in bad standing and pending dissolution with the Kentucky Secretary of State. I hope you, as Madison County Fiscal Court, will take all this information into consideration.
Thank you, Mary Lois. Mike Osborne is next. You good? Okay. Corey Isaacs. Corey, does Corey have anything? No? Rhonda Barnes.
I'm Rhonda Barnes. I live at 3165 Hidden Springs Road, formerly Lancaster Road. With the change on with the Duncannon exchange going across there, we're now at a dead end there. I came to Richmond in 1974 as an EKU student. And after marriage, we decided to come back to Madison County because I liked the area so much. It was pretty, it was not overly developed. And then we ended up purchasing land on Moore and Mill Road, which is right across from where the rezoning is proposed. We were at 197 and it's at 200. We lived there for 35 plus years, and now we have a farm approximately a mile and a half from the areas that have been submitted for rezoning, all three of them. There has been so much talk about the comprehensive plan and the urban corridor. I have read the majority of the 101 pages and would like to point out a few statements from it. Under goals and objectives, land use and development, encourage infill and new development near existing areas, encourage preservation of agricultural land and business, minimize nuisance and burdens to adjacent property owners. First off, the rezoning application for 200 Moore and Mill Road, under findings, states the subject property is a tract of undeveloped agricultural land, and under their Exhibit A, it shows how it relates to the surrounding property. The property fronts primarily on Moore and Mill Road. The property to the north, east, south is all zoned UC7 and currently utilized as residential farmland. The property to the west is zoned R7, farmland. Proposed rezone to UC1, single-family resident. The legal justification for request of zone change is in conformity to the comprehensive plan dated 2023, as it is appropriate given the location of the comprehensive plan in the urban corridor, suggesting it is suitable for urban development. Excuse me, but there are no subdivisions or development close to this land. Why are we contradicting the comprehensive plan in relation to farmland? The comprehensive plan also states focus urban development and density near Richmond, Berea, and the urban corridor. But unfortunately, that urban corridor has expanded all the way to Garrett County. The comprehensive plan says identify corridors in the county that should be protected as scenic corridors where the aesthetic and scenic values are recognized and significant to preserve. Moore and Mill Road is just that. Is the comprehensive plan just words on a piece of paper that have no meaning when it comes to rezoning? The land on Moore and Mill Road, according to the comprehensive plan, would also need 2 entrances. The frontage on 1295 runs from Joe Jones Road to the Bundy property. It is very dangerous. I lived there plus 35 plus years, and I know how dangerous it is. It has blind spots, and it's the only place on that road for a long distance that people can pass, and they do. I can't imagine putting 100 or more cars in that stretch on a daily basis. And last but not least, the corrected certified letters mailed to the adjoining property owners were dated July 8th, 2026, which the statute KRS 100.212 says they must be mailed 14 days prior to the hearing. My math tells me that's only 13. And I had the letters to prove it. Planning and zoning was informed of this, but they skirted around the issue. I appeal to you to make an informed decision on rezoning this property as my family and our neighbors have requested. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Barnes. Thank you, Ms. Barnes. Joanna Jones.
Good morning. I'm Joanna Jones. Judge Taylor and magistrates, my name is Joanna Jones, and today I choose to stand up and speak as someone who not only grew up here in the Kirksville area on Moore and Mill Road, but as a member of the Kirksville Water Association Board. Today I want to speak directly to the magistrates because the decisions being made about development and infrastructure are ultimately decisions about the future of Madison County. You weren't elected simply to manage the county we have today. You were entrusted with protecting the county that we're going to leave behind. Kentucky law gives fiscal court significant responsibility for the fiscal affairs, roads, property, and overall governance of this county. Madison County's own planning regulations say that fiscal court adopts the comprehensive plan as the general guide for future growth and development. The Madison County Comprehensive Plan states that development should complement the existing landscape and constraints of private water and wastewater treatment systems. I believe that there is a reason that the word constraints is in that sentence. Infrastructure does have limitations. On page 15 of the Madison County Comprehensive Plan, which explicitly directs county officials to encourage the preservation of agricultural land and business. I would also like to point out leverage pages 88 and 89 in your own plan. The official county survey reveals that preservation of agriculture and rural lifestyle were ranked as the highest priority factors for local quality of life, scoring twice as important as the new commercial growth. The survey also noted that farmland loss was ranked as one of the county's biggest challenges. Under Kentucky Revised Statute KRS Chapter 100, a zoning map amendment is legally invalid unless you can prove that our current agriculture zoning is inappropriate or that major unexpected changes have occurred. Neither one is true in this situation. Farmland is working, it's viable, and it's exactly where the comprehensive plan says it should be. So I believe there's a question to be asked today. Are we allowing our comprehensive plan to determine where infrastructure and development should go? Or are we allowing infrastructure to determine where development will go? Because those are two very different things. Our 2024 comprehensive plan specifically calls for identifying Madison County's long-range wastewater needs and developing a wastewater plan looking 20 to 50 years into the future. But extending sewer into a rural community because development is knocking on the door is something very different. And if you allow this development to come through, they are requesting that sewer be put out there. Not one single Kirksville Water member has sewer today. There's a reason for that. Once you run sewer into an agricultural area, you aren't simply providing another utility. You're changing what the land becomes. And once higher density development follows, fiscal court and the citizens of Madison County inherit the consequences. You inherit more roads to maintain. You inherit more traffic. You inherit more stormwater runoff, more demand on emergency services, more pressure on water infrastructure, and more productive farmland permanently removed from agriculture. The developer does not carry those responsibilities forever. You do, I do, and the taxpayers do. There's another group here that I don't want to leave forgotten in this conversation. They're the people that are already here today. As someone who is serving on the water board, that's what weighs heavily on me the most. When I sit at the board table this afternoon, I don't see dots on a development map. I think about the farmer who needs water for livestock. I think about the elderly customers who have faithfully paid a water bill for decades. I think about the families who built homes here, believing they were investing in a pastoral community. Before we add hundreds of new demands to our rural infrastructure, shouldn't we first be absolutely certain that the people that are already depending upon it will be protected? Before extending sewer into the countryside, shouldn't we know where Madison County actually wants its growth to occur over the next 30 to 50 years? And before approving development on productive agricultural land, shouldn't someone calculate what the county and taxpayers should be responsible for after the developer is gone? I'm not asking Madison County to stop growing. I'm asking you to lead growth instead of follow it. Put development where infrastructure can responsibly support it. Protect the infrastructure that existing citizens already depend upon. Protect the productive farmland where agriculture is still viable. And don't use sewer expansion as the tool that turns rural communities into your next development corridor. There will always be another developmental proposal. There will always be another piece of land, a farmland, that somebody wants to build on. But there will never be another Madison County.
Thank you, Joanna. Julius Dahl.
Can I go without him? Hey, my name is Julius Dahl. I live at 200 Overlook Trail. And I'm standing here and look, and I see one side doing one thing and another side wanting to do another thing. And I wrote this last night because I just had to say something at the last fiscal meeting. You guys have a task that is probably not the most favorable. There's going to be 100 people that are going to hate you today. There's going to be 100 people that are going to love you today. But at the end of the day, it's what you believe and what you stand for and what you all believe in. I'm here to stand for the rights. So I just want to take a minute right now, and I want to thank you for allowing me to speak a couple of words. But, sir, I heard you say you served 20 years in the U.S. Army, 30 years in the United States Navy. Thank you for your service.
And you as well.
Thank you. I want everybody in this room that has served in the United States military to stand up. If you served in the United States military, stand up. Stand up. Don't be afraid. Thank you. And I personally want to say thank you for the men and women that have served before my 30 years that I served. Thank you for what you did for me, because you made my life easier, better, and worth doing what I dreamed about doing. This is what America's all about, right? So I'm just going to read a couple things to you here real quick. I would like that, like I said, I told everybody to stand up. You've seen a couple of people stand, 30 years, 20 years, that's 50. I bet you if I added up everybody else here, we'd probably be close to 100. Your parents, your grandparents, we'd be in the hundreds of years what these people did for this country. It's not about you. It's not about me. I served 30 years. That's great. It's something I choose to do. But that's what we did. And what I see here beside is just two different groups that you won't even sit on the same side of the room. That's the sad reality of what we're facing here today. So I just want to read a couple of things for you. These men and women, including myself, wear the uniform, and we're willing to sacrifice our life to give you the right to pick and choose what you want to do in your life. That's the dream that you came here, that you're living here for in the United States of America. I've traveled the world. You've traveled the world. You don't have that right where you go and where you're standing at and get to pick and choose and say demeaning things to other people. It's not like that. I've been there, done that all. I don't want to get off track here, but like I said, we're willing to sacrifice and give our life for each and every one of us. That's our right. And I'm doing it for you too. And it's for me too. And it's for my kids, my grandkids, your grandkids. It's for everybody. And we cannot forget where we stand and what this country was fought for and died for. That's what we do. Today, I just pull this statistic up. Today, more than 40% of Kentucky farmers operate by individuals that are 65 years and older. 65 and older, right? Most farmers, why do they sell their land? They don't have a 401k. They don't have a mutual fund, and some might do and some don't. They sell their land, one, i.e. to pay taxes, to make sure their family and their grandkids can have something that they never probably had. That's what they did. That was their dream, is the farm. Now I'm going to flip it the other way. As the farmers reach retirement, if you don't have a family member, a son or a daughter, who's going to farm the land for you? I'm from North Dakota. I'm living the life that when I turned 18, he said, we ain't going to have a farm. You got to leave everything you love in this country, and you're going to have to go, and you're going to have to do something because you can't stay here. No job. None. I don't even have a stoplight where I live. You want to talk about rural. Y'all talk about rural. You have no idea what rural is. Go up to North Dakota. Population, 600 people in your town. One grocery store. One post office. The drugstore is the grocery store. No, there's no clothes to go buy. There's no Gap. I didn't get McDonald's till I was 15 years old. That was my first McDonald's. So I just want you to keep that in. And I want to tell you about the farmer. I know I've done it. Any farmer here will tell you, your work day is probably 12 to 15 hours a day, 7 days a week. Right? It's a tough job. And not many people want to do that or even can afford to do that anymore. Madison County is growing. Like it or not, it's happening, right? I know some of you question, why do the farmers sell the land and the developers buy it all? Well, it's just this simple. It's their right. That's what we in the military did. We were willing to die to give you the right to buy and sell and do whatever you dreamed of doing, right? That's what it's all about. Yes, we can look at the new development. Skyscrapers, there's buildings, there's houses, there's commercial buildings. Oh, the streets are busy. The traffic, I hear the water, the sewer. I'm assuming the board here is smart enough, the city members, the county members are smart enough to get with the developers and make sure the water runoff is going to work. Is it perfect? No. Nothing's perfect. And none of us have the answer for tomorrow. We won't know what happens till further down the line if it was a good decision or a bad decision. But like I always say in the military, like I told my guys, if you're going to vote on something or do something, hold your head up. Put your shoulders back, stand up tall, make the decision. Do what you feel is right, and that's what I'm talking to you all. You do what you feel is right. That's what you were elected by the people, to pick and choose what you think was best. And we have to trust that. And we call it the change of guard in the military. We hear it all the time. A new group will come in, they'll make decisions, and some of you will like them, and some of them you won't. But you know what? Support them. Greet them. Give them the respect that they deserve. That's what it's all about. We don't know if it's right or wrong. None of you know. I don't know. None of us do. So don't act like we do know, because it's not us to choose. We're going to make a decision today. You will make a decision today, and we will live by it. And the consequences will dictate what happens in the future, right? And like I told you before, anybody can buy this farmland. You all talk about all the farmers selling it. Well, he might have to sell it to pay taxes or whatever he's got to do. But it's his right. That's what we were willing to die for, to give him the right. That's like me telling you can't sell your house until I tell you you're ready to sell your house. You can't get rid of this cow until I tell you to get rid of it. When did this country do that? That's not what I fought and was willing to die for. And I would do that for you. You don't have to like what I say. You don't have to. I could care less. I'm not on social media. I'm not on Twitter or Tweeter, whatever you call that thing. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. It's your opinion. You're entitled to it, and I'm willing to die for it. And I think you said it most. We were all willing to do that for you, for that right. So let's not forget it, okay? And like I said, this is not the sole for Madison County. This does not benefit just a developer. This developer is taking on a chance that's going to build houses, roads, infrastructure. He's going to have parks, food, stores. We all benefit from that. None of us can here say we've never benefited from a development in this town. Yes, it gets a little traffic. Yes, it gets this. I'm a person that hates traffic. I will avoid certain places at certain times. It's just part of life. It's part of growing up. But I want to talk about the farmer. Yes, the farmer might not be growing crops anymore, might not be milking cows, and he might not be selling cattle anymore. But look what that farmer did now. He grew another opportunity for another individual to go after their dream, to build houses, to build roads, to sit up on a board. That's their right they get to do. Build schools, build a subdivision where kids get to play with other kids. That's what it's all about, right? In closing, I just want to say this here. When we look at our flag, and you can all take a look at it standing right there. When we look at the flag waving proudly in the wind, it's easy just to see the red, white, and the blue. It's easy to feel safe in our neighborhoods, go to school, we get to vote, we get to chase our dreams. But behind that flag, I'm telling y'all, behind that flag and behind the daily peace, there's a quiet, healthy truth. Freedom is not free. I'm here to tell you that. It's not free. Today I ask the board to give the right to the farmer, the developer, to yourself, to the Richmond people of Madison County, to let them live their dream as they wish to live their dream. That's what this country is about. That's what we lived and served for and died for. It's the American dream. And I ask you not to forget that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Julius.
Thank you for your service, sir.
Travis.
My name's Travis Barnes. I'm here today to oppose the rezoning proposed for 200 Moore Mill Road. Before I get into some points that I'd like to make regarding the findings of fact from the rezoning application, I'd like to take a quick look at the vision statement of the comprehensive plan. It reads, Madison County will maintain its rich heritage, history, and unique character while promoting economic and job development, supporting a diverse and growing community, and providing amenities to enhance the quality of life for all residents. Much of our heritage and history is based on agriculture, and as a lifelong resident of Madison County, I can see that we're headed in a dangerous direction. We're losing farmland at an alarming rate, Over the next 15 years, Madison County is expected to be in the top 3 in the state for losing the most farmland to development. Madison County is currently top 3 in the state for beef cattle production. It almost seems as if the vision of our county leaders is to erase our agriculture heritage and history and replace it with subdivisions. A great number of us aren't in favor of this, and that's why we're showing up and speaking out. To the zone change application for this property, there's a section entitled Findings of Fact and Conclusions and Recommendations, and I wanted to look at a few of those. There are some repeat things I've got in here, so I'll try to skip through some of that for time. First one speaks to the proper notification of the hearing, based on the KRS statutes there. The point was made that many of the letters were sent out were postmarked July the 8th, which is only 13 days prior to the meeting. So that does seem to be an issue. Another issue with the application is that at the bottom of the second page, there's a list of additional information required. The fourth item on that list is completed application. The comment out beside that says application must be completed entirely and signed by the property owner. Now on the application, that statement is in all caps. So I think that means it's important. The only signature on the entire application is that of Mr. Worley, which is the attorney for the owner. So to echo what Magistrate Botkin said earlier, what does the law say? Is it legal? Based on those two things, I think it's not. Excuse me. The third listed finding of fact talks about how the property fronts primarily on Moore Mill Road, and it points out the property is completely surrounded by agricultural land. Comprehensive plan, page 14, you outline some goals and objectives for land use and development. To run through those quickly, the words of the comprehensive plan: encourage the preservation of agricultural land and business, encourage infill and new development near existing developed areas, and focus urban development and density near Richmond, Berea, and the urban corridor. Rezoning this land for residential development does not preserve agricultural land. It does not show that you want new development to be near existing developed areas because it's surrounded by farmland. And there are areas closer to Richmond and Berea that are undeveloped. You said your goal was to focus growth in those areas. The fourth listed finding of fact speaks to the legal justification of the zone change and states that it's appropriate because it falls inside the urban corridor. Actually, this property on Warner Road is not 100% inside the urban corridor. Most of it is, but there is a significant portion that is not. Excuse me. And if you refer to the future land use map on page 22 of your comprehensive plan, you can easily see that there is no land off of Moore Mill Road that is color-coded in yellow to indicate the intended future land use or long-term growth usage should be single-family residential. All that land's shown green on your map. I have copies of the map. I'm sure you guys are familiar with it, but I have copies if you'd like to see them. You want to see them? There you go. Okay, all right. The next finding of fact says the property is easily accessible to the developments at Duncannon Road and I-75. For now, it's easily accessible, but you're looking at rezoning 3 properties within a half mile of each other with the potential of 450 to 500 new homes. We, the concerned citizens that live in this area, have not been given any of the following: a traffic impact study, projected dwelling unit count, trip generation analysis, roadway capacity study, intersect application, addresses the county's need for additional housing. And it says that's a big reason for this rezoning because of the housing shortage. Well, at the Planning Commission meeting, Mr. Worley stated that as of 2024, the Kentucky Housing Corporation had recognized the need for 2,578 housing units in Madison County, and indicates that this is a big reason for why we need to approve the rezoning of this agricultural land, so we can build those houses and get into that housing shortage. What was not mentioned about this shortage was the breakdown of what type of housing is actually needed. Of the 2,578 total units, it's noted that rentals should make up 1,578 of those, and for-sale houses only make up 1,000 of them. Also, further breakdowns show that by far the largest housing need is for those people in this county that make 80% or less of the average median income. The current median household income is $63,351. 80% of that is about $51,000. Do you know how much house you can afford for $51,000 a year? It's not a Jim Carr house. If you have a good down payment, good credit, little to no other debt, you can afford a home priced under $200,000. But currently the average new price of a home in Madison County is over $300,000. The point is this: 80%, or 2,080 of the 2,578 housing units that we are short fall into the categories of rentals or affordable housing. So if the argument for rezoning is to help solve the issue of the county housing shortage, rezoning this land doesn't do anything to accomplish that unless you can verify that a very large number of what is going to be built here is affordable rentals or affordable for-sale houses. Based on what I see with new developments, I just don't see it, guys. I don't see it being that kind of properties built in this area. The seventh finding of fact says the property has an opportunity to add improvements to and ultimately access the county's sewer expansion in the area. Under the urban services heading on the application, it does say that future sewer is planned/proposed, but the sewer map that is shown on page 44 of your comprehensive plan does not line up with this. In fact, there are areas of the county where it shows potential sewer expansion over the next 2 years, the next 3 to 10 years, the next 11 to 20 years. This Moore Mill Road property is not shown in any of those studies. You can't argue that a zoning change is appropriate because of future infrastructure plans when those future plans don't exist at this time. Lastly, the eighth finding of fact speaks to the zoning change being appropriate because it will, number one, provide affordable housing, and number two, encourage new residential development in areas that currently provide or are planned to provide adequate transportation access and infrastructure. Well, we already talked about how this development probably doesn't do much to help the housing shortage because of what's going to be built. Secondly, this area certainly does not provide adequate transportation access for development of this size, and according to the highway plan map on page 37 of the comprehensive plan, there's no plan for that. That map shows a total of 16 highway improvement projects. Some are listed as priorities, some are under construction, and some are in a 6-year plan. None of those 16 projects are in this area of Lancaster Road or Moore Mill Road. Guys, I'm not opposed to development. I'm a builder. Surprise. My dad, Owen, who's spoken out against this rezoning too, was a builder all of his life. So we realize this county's growing, and that's great. We recognize that you guys have a tough job. But I think when you really stand back and take a look at this Moore Mill Road property, it's not that hard to see that this may not be the most ideal property to develop according to your comprehensive plan. To close this out, as a builder, I know that when you make a deal to complete a project according to a set of blueprints, if you deviate from the blueprint, then your finished product is not what you agreed to build for the end user. Gentlemen of the Fiscal Court, this comprehensive plan is your blueprint. In the best interest of all members of this county, I think you need to stick to your blueprint. If you're going to approve property developments that are designed to alleviate the housing shortage, then you need to recognize what types of properties are truly needed to help with the shortage and encourage those types of developments in this county. If you tell us you're going to encourage development in areas where there are plans for infrastructure improvements and sewer expansion, and if you're going to come up with maps that show intentions for future land use, stick to those plans, stick to those maps. Do what you said you were going to do. If you tell us you plan to maintain the rich heritage and history of this county and its land, then you need to do that. If you tell us that you plan to develop areas closer to Richmond and Berea, then you need to do that. If you tell us that you plan to develop near areas that are already developed, then you need to do that. And if you tell us that you plan to preserve the scenic value of the most beautiful areas of this county, then you need to do that. Now, I've never said that this entire comprehensive plan goes against this rezoning, and I'm no attorney. And if attorney gets up here behind me, he's going to shoot down some things I said and bring out parts of that comprehensive plan that do line up with this. But I've read the comprehensive plan, and I've looked at the maps that you all come up with that show planned growth in this county. This Moore Mill Road property, this one is not appropriate for rezoning at this time. It does not fully fit into the planned growth parameters that you all set forth in the comprehensive plan. And for all these reasons, I'm asking you to deny the zoning change at this time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Travis. Jenny Stevens? Jenny? Oh, Mary McMahon?
Excuse me.
Hi, my name is Mary McMahon. Number one, I had a question about the comprehensive plan, the new one. Back when the first meeting where people could come in, we had a duplicate meeting, a oversight or something on someone's part, and there was a magistrate's forum or judge executive forum, I don't know which, and you said you would schedule another one of those. Is that going to happen?
It'll be decided on by this body.
Okay, so the comprehensive plan, is it done or is it not done?
No, it's not done. It's been postponed for, kind of just put on pause till we make a decision with our team and have some meetings.
So there is a possibility there will be an opportunity for the public to comment on it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then my other questions, and believe it or not, I walked in here, I told a couple people I have nothing to say this morning, but then Mr. Lockmiller, you brought up the one-page paper about the car property that didn't really line up. I don't understand where the information came from that you were disputing.
Is she talking about the document Billy Ray brought last week?
Yeah, I was just going
I guess we didn't see that.
Well,
Well, I don't know if he saw it or not. He handed it out to us.
He didn't share any of this with us pre the meeting.
But you're talking about the information Billy Ray shared, is that it? Okay,
That's
well,
what
I didn't see that, I was just saying,
No, that's fine. I'm
So
showing
Billy
to you.
Ray-
You're welcome to it. I've got a copy of it.
sure, I'd be curious to see it after the meeting if we could. So you keep saying that the $20 million is from the state taxes. It's not coming from our money, but there again, it is coming from our money. That is revenue generated by the state, so I'll have to say I disagree with that. And do you have documentation from all the utilities already that say they support this project?
I'm not here to take your questions, but I am here to respond in kind, and that being, all I'm doing is talking about past experience in other economic development situations. You know, if you want to call the utility company yourself to get that question answered, whether they're going to commit to this project or not, we're not anywhere close there yet. So, you know, that's
So
not for me to answer.
we really don't have that, even though that's what you said, that the utility companies have committed to it.
No, I didn't say that. I said that there's a good chance that utility companies and others would have a financial interest in this by participating in cost.
Okay.
No, I didn't say they were going to do it. That's a misstatement.
Okay, or misunderstanding. All right, thank you.
Okay, fair enough.
So then, since it's such a great investment and everything, have you already had interest generated from businesses that want to come there, buy or rent? I don't know if they're going to lease the space or buy it or whatever. Do we know of any of that that's been generated?
Mary, we don't even own the property yet.
But you
You
say.
don't get the cart before the horse.
Well,
I mean,
exactly,
this is way out of line, not from you asking the question, but there's certain steps, and this is a proven, the state's proven it thousands of times in the state. you know, these are the processes that you go through.
Okay,
We're nowhere close to that yet.
okay, well then, I don't know how you can say that there's such, you know, it's a done deal, in other words, that if you build it, they will come. Is kind of how I feel that things are going with this. And we talked about this the last meeting.
I didn't say that, but go ahead.
Okay. So you talk about it's a 20-year project, Brian, and many of us won't be here to see it come to fruition. So how can we say that the $2 million that are needed from the property taxes and everything, occupational taxes, how can you say it stated as though that is money that we can count on as incoming revenue when the project is 20, 30 years down the road?
Because it's a projection, it's not guaranteed. It's a projection.
Exactly, that's my point. It's not
Yeah,
guaranteed.
it's when you plant something, you set a garden, you don't know the produce. You go about the business and do the things that you need to do to get an end result. And that's what we're doing, Mary. It's not, we're projecting things.
And I guess what we're projecting, to not say don't let the car people sell their property or whatever, we're projecting what are the other burdens that are going to be placed on us as taxpayers if this goes into effect. And
I understand your concern, but it's a projection, and those things will be dealt with when the appropriate time comes.
Those things will be dealt with when there's a new fiscal court and they have to figure out how to pay for it.
Well, it's not necessarily their responsibility. It will be a state road. That will be the state's responsibility at that point to maintain the road and to provide the infrastructure. The fiscal court is not responsible for water districts. The water district will make that decision. Fiscal court is not Delta Gas. It's not KU or East Kentucky Power.
I understand how business works. Believe it or not, I haven't.
Well, I'm just trying to explain
Yeah.
and answer your question.
Well, I don't have questions on how that works. I understand how you
Well,
get it to
that was the
work.
question I understood.
Okay. Well, I guess finally, as I said after the last meeting, that you said, Mr. Lockmuller, that you would be here every meeting to, finish out your term, and I appreciate that.
Yes.
And I told you I'd probably be here every meeting until then, talking about
And I
this.
said, good.
Okay, so here we are. But my final question is, as I understand it, there are 6 people on the Central Kentucky Business Park Authority board. There are representatives from Scott County and Fayette County, and Berea has one, and we have one. My question is, so you've submitted whoever you think, and they've put that person on the board. What happens when that person moves, retires, dies? Do we get, again, as Madison County citizens, do we get to appoint the person who's going to work for that? Or is it
Yes.
we get to appoint them, or the board?
We, meaning you as a citizen, or we as a fiscal
The
court?
fiscal court.
Yeah, the fiscal court.
Okay. I've been told by other people that it's that board and that entity in and of itself. So
No.
it will come back to Madison County. Okay, all right.
Yeah, each county has 2 board appointments. But since Madison County Fiscal Court and the city of Berea is all in one county, Berea Council, Mayor recommends, the Judge Executive recommends, and then this governing body approves that appointment.
Okay, that was my concern, that we would ultimately not have any
No.
say.
Thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right, next is to approve the transfers and pay the claims. I need a motion and a second.
So moved.
For public comment's sake, if you would give me an opportunity just briefly, since this will be my only opportunity to speak to some of the things said, and oftentimes...
Excuse me? Yes, you are out of order. So I'm sorry, this is not your meeting. This is our meeting. And Preston, at this time, man, I can't because
it's a public comment. I'm speaking as a member of the
well,
public,
it is,
same as
but
anybody.
we require you to sign in for
That'd be
that.
fine. That'd be fine, Judge.
And I apologize.
No
Preston.
problem at all.
Yeah.
No problem at all. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
That's how you sit back down and say thank you.
So again, I need a motion and a second to approve the transfers and pay the claims.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Combs?
Yes.
Mr. Lockmiller?
Yes.
Mr. Bakken?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Our next meeting will be August 25th, 2026. That will be right back here in our Madison County Fiscal Courtroom on the first floor of the annex. at 9:30 a.m. Again, our next meeting is August 25th. I need a motion second to adjourn, please.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll.
Mr. Lockmiller?
Yes.
Mr. Buckin?
Yes.
Mr. Combs?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Appreciate it.